Hello, 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 welcome to an exciting episode of me complaining about something. So, something I've been to talk about for a while is, well, at least something that came into my head. Great, got chocolate on my thumbnail. Not on my thumbnail, but under my actual thumb's nail. What I want to talk about today is the concept of the divine intervention, which, if you ever play Dungeones and Dragones, which is mentioned in the title, so you should have a clue as to what this video is actually about. In Dungeons and Dragons, sometimes people die, and then the GM is like, "But wait, your god comes and saves you and gives you a hand," and it's like, "Okay, you get to go back into the fight. Good boy. Don't you worry. Everything's fine. Everything is fine. You'll be fine."
Bring them in.
And that's bad. It's a really shitty idea. What the fuck just happened?
Cannot let our target know we're here. Track them down quickly.
I don't know what that was, but that was impressive.
Excellent. We'll interrogate the captive back at base. Your part is
Seriously,
done
what
here
was that?
for
It
now.
was like I was standing in a one of those explosions. But the problem I have with divine interventions is that they're kind of the dumbest and laziest fucking shit you can do. Here's why. So imagine you're playing a campaign, and the barbarian goes down to his knee. Your barbarian, let's call him a half orc called Grognard. Grognard falls to his knees, and he's like, and Grog is like, "No, I have fallen, and I cannot get up again." And then the GM goes, "Oh no, I didn't mean to kill anyone in this encounter." The GM freaks out and goes, Wait, Grognard, your mighty deity speaks to you. He says that you have tasks left undone, and must return to the land of the living to fulfill your destiny." Suddenly, your cleric speaks up and goes, wait, what the fuck? I know Grognard's god. Grognard's god is an asshole. He doesn't give a shit about his orcs. I mean, for fuck's sake, he's an orcish god. He lets hundreds of orcs die every day. We're level 3! Jim kind of freaks out, goes, "Well, sometimes gods have divine class." Like, yeah, good for him, but where the fuck was my god? I've been devout for years. Like, my character has literally sat in a chapel all the way up to level 3, and I don't get, like, any gimmies? What about the fucking bridge we were at a little bit ago? That could have killed the adventure. And my god isn't like, "Hey, here's a spell that lets you fly across the chasm because you need to get across." No, we had to practically die getting there. At that point, the GM realized he's fucked up, and the only two options available are either to kill the whole party or kind of admit that he was an idiot. And guess what? Most people don't pick the answer that's the good one. The problem is it kind of undermines a lot of things, and it also asks a lot of questions. I'm not saying you can't do it, but you need to establish ahead of time that the concept of divinity and all is a big deal. You need to establish very early on that gods will just fucking do shit.
Slow the fight. Want it to go away.
And you can't just drop it into a situation willy-nilly, It's either a part of the world or it's not. And you have to set that up fast. Or, as I said, you're gonna end up with a situation where one of your players is like, "Why does he get the one? Why does he get the special bonus ability? Why do I have to still take a fucking car to work every day? He gets to fly everywhere." Well, let's move on. Most people do this because they don't want their players to die, and it's like, no, don't. Because it feels very weird when gods are like doing all this shit, and now suddenly the gods are helping out? Why is it only when people die that gods show up? Why don't they show up like with the fucking bridge? It's a question you're gonna have to answer. Like, the bridge is just as big a problem.
It's to proceed.
The only difference is no player characters were in danger. Except they were, just in a different way. There's a few ways to handle this, and then there's a few ways players will generally die. Players will die either due to combat, aka rolling death. They'll do something stupid, or they'll get disintegrated by something that basically says, "Haha, your player character's dead now, go fuck yourself." Here's what you can do. You can not use the stuff that just disintegrates players. So, that's one problem fixed. You can have different death rules. That's that problem fixed. And if your player does something stupid, just give him a fucking gimme. If they really want to keep their character. So here's the way you can do it. Don't do the god stuff, for one reason. It implies that you're not going to stick to your fucking guns when it comes to player actions. You're going to be like, well, you'll do whatever needs to happen for the story to work. That's not what you can do. If you undermine the player's ability to die, you are saying the rules don't matter to such an extent that I will literally bullshit my way out of the results. That's not nice. That doesn't make players feel like they're in charge of their character. Here's what you can do. And listen closely. You can just not kill your players. You can just say, you didn't die. You took the last failing roll, but you just fell unconscious, and you'll be in a coma for a day or so. You can just say, you can let players make the saving throws in secret. I like to call this one Schrodinger's Adventurer, where the player makes the rolls in secret, and they get to say whatever they live or die. No one verifies the results. You just say what it is. You might have rolled all ones, all 3 times, and still be like, I'm fine. You know, like every turn you just roll. It doesn't matter how far along you are, just roll. And then at some point you say, I'm done. I'm done rolling. And the GM, it just leans in and goes, hey, what do you think? And you answer, and that's the truth. You can say you're dead, you can say you're alive, you can say you're fine with 1 HP. But you have to give the answer, and it's on you if you cheat it. And that's your right. That's your right. You can not want to go to the corner of shame, as the angry GM calls it, and make a character again. Because not everyone wants to do that, you know? Not everyone wants to go through that. Now, another option, as I said, is you just not kill people. Just not, like, you could just have rules where players don't actually die. They just always fall unconscious, or they regenerate after X days in X location. Like, you can do that, and the adventure still holds weight. It's just that the players dying isn't the risk. The risk is that the villains win. Because if a hero dies and you have to abort the mission, guess what? They're probably going to succeed at whatever they're trying to do. Or you'll be without the item longer, or you don't know what to do next for a little bit longer, giving the enemies more time to prepare and more information as to your weaknesses. Because that strategy worked, they might copy it. Who knows? Just think something up. Or you can just weave it into the story. Make everyone have a backup character. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a full character. It could just be someone they play in the meantime that helps out, that carries the body. And then you go to a church. And then you figure it all out, you know, how you're going to bring it back. But here's something else you can do. What if you really want to do the God thing? Like, you really just want to bring people back from the dead? You can do that too. Here's how. 1. Why? Why does this good God all of a sudden decide to do something super nice, like stop you from dying? What's his angle? Or better, what if an evil god does it? What if, like, the enemy god is saying, like, hey, I know you're trying to stop my secret ritual of death, but, like, Mershok comes up to you, and it's like, hey, I know you're trying to stop my Huan Ti worshippers, but, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Hey, why don't you come back to life and go and fight those cultists a little bit more, you know? Just no reason. Do you have any fucking idea what that will do to your players? That guy who just came back to life is going to be like, fuck, I'm clearly part of some plan, and I'm going to fuck shit up at some point. That player is going to be paranoid as shit, and that's awesome. Or, maybe, gods can't... Like, why wouldn't the bad god bring back the bad guy? Like, think about this. If good gods bring back the good guys, why don't bad gods bring back the bad guys? Resurrection is not limited by alignment. But what if... What if the gods just can't do it on the spot? Like, you have to go to a church, and you have to hand them over, and then the gods are like, oh, the gods say this one must live. And then you have to do, like, a little baby quest or something. Or maybe they just bring it back, and you owe the church a favor or something. Like, weave it in. Make it interesting. Like, maybe do a whiteout flash from Pokemon, and make the... I don't know, do something. But don't just make the players not die. Because you can play a game where the game isn't lethal, where you don't actually have a risk of losing your player character. But you gotta establish it and not pretend. Because the minute you start pretending, everyone's like, okay, what else are you fudging behind that fucking screen this whole time? Like, what else of my actions have just been ignored for the sake of whatever the hell you're trying to achieve? But again, it's much more interesting to either A, never have to deal with it, B, accept it, or C, just do something cool with it. At the very least, do something cool with it. Maybe the good god is like, hey, you don't just owe me a favor. Think about this. The good god brings you back to life. You're like, oh man, I'm back to life. Thanks, Mr. Good God guy. And the good god's like, ha ha ha. Yeah, I'm you've not been a devout worshiper, so yeah, we're gonna have to start talking about a couple of yeah, we're gonna have to start talking about some reparations, you know. The player character has to give up one of their wouldn't that be great? Like the god is like, hey, listen, I know you're trying to be nice here, but you're gonna have to give one of those artifacts you have with you to my church as like a donation. Like, give them your money, give them your shit. Like, I brought you back to fucking life, boy. That shit ain't cheap. Give up your valuables. Or maybe you just lose a permanent spell slot or something like that. Like, give them a loss that they have to deal with for a while and make them think about the consequences of death. Like, death doesn't have to be the end of a player character. It can just be a permanent scar or disability or something that takes a long while to heal. And bada bing, bada fucking boom, you get to bring players back. I mean, like, maybe just do that. When a player character reaches 0 HP, they don't die, they just gain a scar. And that lasts for a while. And then they stand back on their feet after a little bit, and they're like, fine. But they have that scar. Maybe they have permanent exhaustion until they get it fixed. What would it take to fix? Is it expensive magic? Is it difficult magic? What's the deal? Now listen closely. Here's the deal. But you need to think about that. Because the minute you just bring a fucking god into the equation, why the fuck doesn't that god babysit you more often? Why now, of all times? Why this time, of all times? Will the god save you if you fall down a cliff? If the god is so invested in you that in a random non-boss fight combat, they bring you back to life, if you jump down an arbitrary cliff, will they save you? This is a question you have to answer now. Because your players are going to be like, okay, what are the limits of what this god will do to save me? What are the limits and constraints on this divine protection I'm apparently afforded? You know? Because you need to establish that. Because your players are going to be like, okay, I got brought back from the dead. I got parachuted to safety. You know what you can also do? Okay, so here's another way. Say that your players are, you're fighting near a cliffside, and like a lizard man goes, I will push you off this ledge. And the player's like, oh no, I will fall into these sharp cliffs down below. And then you take that player aside and you're like, hey, listen, there's like a ledge like a couple of feet down. You're going to be fine, but you're out of the fight because you cannot possibly climb out of there without some help. And then the player character's like, oh, so I'm just out of the fight for a little bit. And he's like, yeah, you'll be fine. You take a little bit of fall damage. You'll be a little bit dazed from the fall, but you're fine. And you're fine. You manage to grab yourself to safety, and now you're heroically climbing your way up as everyone's fighting. You could do that. Maybe when someone gets hit with a disintegration spell, I don't know, do something. Maybe they don't disintegrate. Maybe the spell's effect is that you turn into this statue of sorts, or that you're stuck in the ethereal plane, like you're still around, and maybe you can do some cool ghost stuff. Like maybe your powers change. Maybe you suddenly get the ability to do ghost things. You can change it up a bit, and then that also encourages you to fix the problem a little bit faster and get the players going. Or maybe they like it. Maybe the guy's like, oh, cool, I'm a ghost now. Or I'm a revenant. That's awesome. And then they have fun. And if they're having fun, then what's the fucking problem? But yeah, Divine Intervention just kind of... It's the worst of both worlds. It is the worst of all worlds, all at the same time. It's hilarious how bad it is. How far am I anyway? Oh, I'm almost there. But I like being a tiger. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Well, that was me bitching and moaning about a whole bunch of gerfuffle and gedoobers. Next time on Video Game Land, probably more hocus pocus and abracadabra in May. Heck, I love my Rhino Prime. Look at him. He's such a handsome boy. Look at this handsome boy. I don't like his face, though. The faceplate looks dumb. Rhino, don't be insulted, please. Can I... I can sit in my craft. He's so angry at me. Anyway, yeah. Be clever. Either accept F or don't. Or be smart with it. Be fun with it. Give it a little bit of... Like, don't just give it flavor in the sense of like, oh, the god gives you this and puts a scar on your face. Do something with that. That scar means something now. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe some people are brought back by the gods for no reason. It's just a lottery. And they get a mark, and everyone's like, either you're super lucky or you're cursed, or something is up with you. But make it do something, and make it do something fast. Because you're going to forget, or they're going to forget, and then it's not fun. Do something with it as fast as you can to establish the rules. You know? That kind of shit. Establish the rules.